Thank you. That was a nice good morning back. I appreciate that. Nice to see you all this morning, and you are welcomed here today. My name is Joseph Fenty. I'm your associate for this service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County, UUFCC. We begin our service each week by singing an invitation to gather together even as we are scattered in many different places. This service is being broadcast live on YouTube and will be available as a recording on the UUFCC channel after the service. Your patience will be appreciated as there is a slight delay at the end to close down the YouTube connection. I'd like to remind you of a couple of simple procedures that will help our service and broadcast run smoothly. This would be a good time to put your phones on meditation mode. Check mine, and it's already on meditation mode. And I'll remind you at the end to turn it back on so you won't miss any calls. For those of us virtually, you may wish to have a chalice or a candle available for our chalice lighting ritual. We ask that you socially distance as appropriate and use masks in the sanctuary when socializing and when socializing outside and when we request. Let's be reminded that we are sometimes complacent with our protection, yet we continue to have many who are still becoming infected with COVID. Let's help each other. My gratitude for those making this service possible include those supporting technology this morning. That would be Corey and Tom. Corey and Tom, you want to wave to us? They make it happen, make our technical magic manifest itself this morning. To the building and grounds team and the sanctuary decorating team and all others who make this physical space a joy to behold. Special thanks to Betty, who shoveled all our leaves away this morning. So thank you, appreciate that. Welcome, thank you to our membership committee and their team of greeters. Raise your hand if you're a greeter. Thank you for making us feel welcome as we enter the building. We also like to thank Janet M. and the UUFCC summer singers, and Jim's here this morning, so we appreciate him being here. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to hear the music and the choir sing. Thanks to Mary Jane and Sandy for their behind-the-scenes assistance. You help the office run smoothly, so thank you. Whatever your faith or the country of your heritage, you are welcome here. Whoever you are and whomever you love, you are welcomed here. And whether you entered on little feet, or walked in briskly, or ambled, or rolled in, you are welcomed here. Whether you are relatively new to our community, or have been an active member for decades, you are welcome here. We are glad you chose this congregation as your place of renewal and connection. If you're new here or returning from a long time away, please stand in body or spirit or wave, state your first name and where you're from so that we can welcome you. Any newcomers or returning snowbirds? Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm Teresa Fisher, and I just moved to Port Charlotte from Southern Indiana.
Very good, Teresa. Thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. This probably wouldn't be a good time for snowbirds to return, given a tropical storm, hurricanes on the way. They're probably up north thinking, wow, I'm sure glad I'm not in Florida. But do be careful. Let us know if you need any assistance. I would be glad to help you. Okay, so if you are new at home and would like to learn more about our fellowship, you can email Mary Jane at at office@uufcc.org or visit our website at uufcc.org. And wherever you are, we are glad you have chosen to spend your time with us this morning. Our theme for the month is belonging, and our presentation today will be by virtually by Reverend Janet Oney. Okay, we will now open this venerated space by turning our attention to the Chalice through the words of Katie Gelfand, the Director of Religious Exploration of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of New Orleans. Would someone like to light the chalice for me this morning? Yes, Lori, thank you so much. You're always so dependable. You sit near the front row, and it's easy to reach out to you. So, thank you. So, let's say these words. We light our chalice as a symbol of our gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that sustains us. Okay, so for those of you at home, you can light your chalices, and I appreciate that. So let's say our chalice lighting words of affirmation. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our aspiration, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. I invite you now to light your chalices, which you have done. So we will have a prelude, the music from the gray hymnal. Come sing a song with me. This is number 346.
Oh
job. Really encouraged by that singing. We have so the next part of our program, we'll have the opening words by Reverend Janet Oney.
Let us center ourselves to the words of Starhawk. Let us center ourselves to the words of Starhawk. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned, we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere, there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere, a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we appear on the screens. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we can come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing. A circle of friends. Someplace where we can be free.
Of sharing our joys and sorrows and life milestones by entering them into the book of life. These messages can be written in the book, in the red book at the back of the sanctuary. Betty, would you mind bringing me the book of life? Let's see if we have any entries today. Thank you. Those at home are welcome to email your entries to bookoflife@uufcc.org. Messages should be sent no later than the Saturday prior to the service. All entries will be read by the worship associate on Sunday morning. After that, emailed messages will be entered into the actual red book. After I have completed reading, we will enter into a moment of silence followed by our hymn, Be Thou With Us. So, let's see what we have here. Okay, well, there are no entries for today, so I have one for myself. I was sorrowful to see on the national news that a group of immigrants were moved from Texas to Florida and up to Martha's Vineyard. Apparently the two governors of Texas and Florida had colluded to deceive these group of people with promises of jobs and food and other things. And then charter flights with your taxpayer money, by the way, and just dropped them off in Martha's Vineyard without any kind of preparation, no supplies. So men, women, and children, these are human beings that were treated awfully. And I'm concerned and I'm saddened that this kind of behavior is allowed in this country. So let's hope that this kind of thing stops and we start to recognize the humanity in people and to treat them with respect regardless of how they arrived in this country. Okay, so may we hold these and our unspoken joys and sorrows in our heart. May we also hold one another in love and tenderness so that this fellowship may be a source of strength and comfort, courage, and hope in the days and weeks ahead. So, let us take this moment of silence, and I'll ring the bowl to bring you back. No one rings that bowl like Reverend Amy did. She was amazing. That bowl would just ring for what felt like minutes. That actually time felt like it would stop when she'd ring that bowl. I actually had a girlfriend long ago, and we had dinner at her house, and she brought out this fabulous glass bowl. And she said, "Oh, this bowl is amazing. Let's ring it." And she just kept ringing it. And it got louder and louder, and I got more and more joyful, and it just was amazing, and just louder and louder. And then it cracked. It shattered, and our joy turned to just deep sorrow because it was her mother's prize ringing bowl. And I just felt so bad. Oh well, okay. Okay, now we will have a selection from our singers. Song number 1039, Be Thou With Us.
Be thou with us now and always, now and always. Blessed be. Be thou with us now and always, now and always. Blessed be.
Thank you. So please welcome Reverend Janet Ani. She will deliver the sermon entitled Building Walls, Building Community. And then synopsis is, what does it mean to belong? How does a group form an identity? So the Reverend Janet Ani has supplied pulpits, trained congregations in lay and pastoral care, and facilitated workshops on organizational and leadership development and conflict management. As an outspoken supporter of professional clergy, Reverend Ani has served as a mentor and intern supervisor to ministers in formation and a good officer to troubled ministries. She was named the Minister Emerita of the Tri-County Unitarian Universalists, Florida, and served first as treasurer, then as the president of the Florida chapter of UU Ministers Association. As a founder of and contributed to interfaith organizations, she is a passionate advocate for social justice issues in cooperation with interfaith partners and allies, and as a frequent contributor to newspapers and public forums. Reverend Ani retired to Staunton, Virginia in January 2021, where she continues to supply local pulpits and via Zoom pulpits nationwide. She has recently completed service as a sabbatical minister for a congregation in Canada. She also revived her pre-ministerial career as a professional musician, serving as a volunteer coordinator for the Stanton Music Festival and playing with the flutes of the Shenandoah.
Progressive theologian William Sloane Coffin said, "Love seeks the truth, but fear seeks safety." Fear seeks safety. If we are paying attention to the national news, and even to some of the overheard conversations in our neighborhoods, we are living in fear-filled times. In response, we're looking for safety. Now, this drive for safety is shared by all living things, although we express that protective response differently. For instance, tube worms respond to a touch by disappearing into the sand. Caterpillars curl up into a ball. Some mammals travel in herds or packs. For us humans, building walls has been a popular method for protecting ourselves and our group of like-minded people. Although some of us sometimes have been known to imitate the caterpillars and curl into balls when it all becomes just too much. We form ourselves into communities for safety from the other, communities that will be safe from conflict that arises from differences. Now, most of us have come to accept that some degree of conflict is just a fact of human existence. While in our Naples congregation, the Reverend Katie Korb offered the opinion that we would only truly see each other as fellow human beings when aliens from a distant planet arrived on Earth. At that point, our tribal differences would evaporate and we would unite in our identity as Homo sapiens, us, to repel the invaders, them. If this scenario sounds familiar, it's because you're recalling the films The Day the Earth Stood Still, or War of the Worlds, or the early Star Trek series when everyone was from Earth except Spock. And even he was portrayed in terms of being a sort of higher form of human, the only Unitarian in a ship full of Universalists. I am inclined to believe that Reverend Korb had it right because I see this tendency to differentiate between us and them in myself and in everyone I know. Deep in my bones, I understand the yearning to belong to a specific tribe. The developers of retirement communities and gated communities understand that. The comfort and security of being among your own kind is strong. The street where I live is populated by college professors, artists, chefs, and musicians. I'm a bit ashamed to admit that the choice to live on this street was intentional. But I also know there's another, more expansive way to look at human communities. Prophets like Gandhi, Mohammed, Lao Tse, Martin Luther King Jr., Julian of Norwich, Jesus of Nazareth, Sophia Lyons-Foss, Gene Roddenberry, and Ba'alua, among others, they envisioned a world where human differences were a source of delight, where the differences were retained and complemented by other differences. It's the image of a salad bowl rather than a melting pot. That salad bowl image more accommodates the reality of our American demographics, especially in the major urban areas of our country. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called to heed the visionaries. We are called to construct communities that are distinctive and reflective of us at a specific time and place, while at the same time welcoming strangers who may eventually wish to join us. Ideally, all of us fruits and nuts are held in an ever-expanding salad bowl. That's the vision. However, we know we're far, far from that ideal salad bowl. That being the case, the question of today asks, how will you develop the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County as a salad bowl community, as a beloved community where everyone belongs? The story of Nehemiah in the Hebrew Bible contains all of the elements of how to intentionally build a community. First, Zerubbabel leads some Jews exiled in the Babylonian conquest back home to Jerusalem. They get reestablished there and begin rebuilding the destroyed city, starting with the temple. Second, Ezra shows up to teach the Torah, reminding the Jews of their spiritual and their social identity. Third, Nehemiah arrives to build a physical structure, a wall, around the city. This wall is physical evidence of the Jews' identity, their separateness from the non-Jews in the area. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of a wall constructed around 444 BCE. So here's a true story from the ancients confirming the power of physical structures to define a community. We do the same thing. Many of us are exiles from religious communities of our childhood. By many paths, we have stumbled into a place that feels like home. Then, via our 7 principles, we are reminded of our spiritual and social identity. Finally, we build a physical structure that shows who we are. Your building is an outward and visible sign of you as Unitarian Universalists. By design, it keeps us in and others out. It defines our boundaries. Over the course of my ministry, I've become a bit obsessed with Nehemiah's walls specifically, and walls in general. I think that this model of wall building serves a useful purpose. By defining the parameters, Nehemiah was also defining the community. The Jewish Reformed Prayer Book expresses our situation this way. It says, "Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together." So, until we reached that promised land where we can meet each other without fear, we need to have boundaries to know where I leaves off and you begins. Without boundaries, the world is too much with us, and we sacrifice our place of safety and calm where we need to retreat so we can recharge ourselves. If we don't feel safe, it's unlikely that we can help anyone else feel safe. I was going to use the example of face masks to protect us from COVID-19 and its variants, but that presupposes that everyone thinks they're in danger, and that's far from true. So think of it like being on an airplane. Actually, I was just on an airplane, so I had the opportunity to hear that flight attendants' instructions have not changed. They say something like, "In the unlikely event that oxygen is needed, the mask will drop from the ceiling and the air is flowing even if you can't see it." Then you're instructed to put your oxygen mask on first. Why? Well, because you can't be useful to anyone else when you're gasping for air. So why would you care if you're useful to someone else? Because you may have occasion to desperately need the help of that person sitting next to you, and you're out of luck if they're gasping for air too. So let's put on our masks. Let's examine the kinds of boundaries we have in place to see if they're constructed so that they will allow us to participate in the often frightening and confusing world while we're trying to change it. How are we going to use our walls to build the beloved community? There are 3 types of walls. Physical barriers include the Great Wall of China, Hadrian's Wall, the Berlin Wall, the Wall of Famagusta, the walled city of Lucca, the walls of the Benin Empire in Nigeria, and of course, Nehemiah's walls of Jerusalem. Since the beginning of time, people have crouched behind physical barriers and hoped that people with agendas different from theirs would be kept out. Then there are our institutional walls, often called policies and programs. After the attack on the World Trade Centers, America threw up a wall called Homeland Security. How's that working for us? After hurricanes, we put new building codes in place. We repair the levees. Churches do this all the time, write and rewrite policies and bylaws to reflect an event that has threatened the existence or even the status quo of the organization. By the way, it's never a good idea to create a policy based on a single event. Finally, there are our psychic walls. We Unitarian Universalists who suffer disproportionately from our national plague of individualism are particularly skilled at this sort of wall building. After our personal boundaries have been breached by illness, broken relationships, or other kinds of losses, we build walls of self-reliance and we crouch behind those psychic barriers. Our psychic walls are manifested in phrases like, it hardly hurts at all. Thanks, but we'll manage. It's no bother. Don't worry about it. And my personal favorite, I'm fine. I've heard this last one uttered by people with tears overflowing from their eyes. These nice phrases we've cultivated calm the fear of the listener that they will be asked to do something to address our lack of control or our weakness or, heaven forbid, our need for each other. I hope we can learn that what we were called to do in most situations is nothing more than to simply listen, to deeply, curiously, and openly listen to each other. The idea of building walls to build a community is something of a paradox. There is a tension between the reality that walls function to keep people in, and at the same time, they keep people out. We relieve that tension by the use of gates. Gates are the mechanism by which people can come into the safety of their community and go out to be engaged in the world. Gates are the portals by which strangers enter, signifying their peaceful intentions. Think about it. With whom will you feel more at ease? Someone who comes through your front gate or someone who climbs over your wall? Let's make a gate with our hands to illustrate the point. This may look familiar to some of you. First, turn the knuckles of your hands so they're facing each other. Then interlock your fingers. Now, move your wrists so that the palms of your hands are facing each other. Your fingers should be on the inside and your thumbs are parallel. Next, try to wiggle your fingers. It's not easy, is it? Imagine them as people inside a small, dark, cramped, enclosed space. Now, move your thumbs, the gates, in opposition. Roll your wrists back so that the backs of your hands are facing each other. Now, wiggle your fingers. Isn't that easier? The gates are open, exposing the people inside to a wider world of sunlight and space and freedom of movement. To me, gates are a metaphor for the way in which you view your relationship with your community. Are your gates of the flat steel variety or the open picket variety? Do you need a key to get through the gate, or is it loosely tied with a piece of rope? Is it tall, or can you see over it? Is it hinged so that it easily swings open and shut, or do you have to make a real effort to move it? Does the color of the gate reflect who lives behind the walls? Does your gate say, "Come on in," or does it say, "Keep out"? I'm not asking you to tear down your boundary walls. I'm asking you to build in some gates with phrases like, "Tell me about it," or "I'd like to know how you came to that view," or "Would you help me?" At this moment in time, we are still, albeit partially, walled away from others. Most of our Unitarian Universalist communities are operating on a hybrid model, with some people attending in person but masked, while others attend virtually. With COVID still among us, some of us have had to quarantine to wall ourselves in with no gates, anywhere from a week to a month. I don't need to tell you how hard this has been for many of us. And even those who find relief in not having to dress up or travel are beginning to show the strain of our isolation from each other. And we have not much of an idea on the long-term effects of this threatening, gateless environment. We began with the quote that love seeks the truth, but fear seeks safety. Sometimes the life of the Spirit calls people to a harder and more difficult path than safety. That difficult path is the path that I invite you to explore this morning. The efforts of Ezra and Nehemiah didn't result in a beloved community. All of the teachings, adherence to the letter of the law, and the construction of boundary walls kept them safe for a time. But those efforts didn't change people's hearts. They still viewed the world in terms of us versus them. Unless and until hearts are changed, we will continue to be fearful of the other. Beloved community will remain an ideal. We Unitarian Universalists are in the business of changing hearts. Indeed, the life of any liberal religious community is called to change hearts. We do that by constructing gates in the walls around our hearts so that we can continue to promote and to witness to the vision of a community where everyone belongs. As an institution, we do that despite the wall of public health necessity. We have and we continue to construct gates in our communities. Our gates are these regular hybrid Sunday services, the educational offerings, the team meetings, the small groups. We have lots of gates where people can enter and connect with others, both in person and in cyberspace. And they do. It is my hope that eventually there will be more gates than wall surrounding UUFCC. And the values and ideals of this community will spill out and freely circulate beyond its boundaries. And hearts will be changed. And those coming through the gates will find that they belong. May it be so. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for that sermon, Reverend Ani. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for the tech crew that made that presentation happen. Appreciate you. So, in our tradition, congregations exist because of the generous support of members and friends. It is our privilege and our responsibility to ensure the health and future of this fellowship. To this end, your offering support the ministry of this fellowship, whether by pledge or donation, and may be offered online. There are several ways you can give. You can drop your donations in the baskets that are being passed around by the greeters. This is your cue, greeters. Okay. And for those at home, you can mail checks to the office, drop them in our mailbox, or call the office to make other arrangements. We are also equipped to accept donations through the Venmo app. Payments through this app should be made to UUFCC offering. Your generosity is always appreciated. If you are with us for the first time, do not feel obligated to give. Your presence is our gift. Now we will hear from the Summer Singers, and that is song number 402 in the Gray Hymnal. From You I Receive. Thank you. Beautiful song from the chorus. Okay, so now's the time to highlight UUFCC special events and activities. Please remember to check your weekly UUFCC updates, which includes a calendar and links for connecting via Zoom or in person, and descriptions of all kinds of fun things that are coming up. Also, make sure that you regularly visit and our constantly updated website. In addition, if you would like to have the fellowship events highlighted during the service, you can email the worship associates at bookoflife@uufcc.org or fill out an index card. I have index cards here. So first of all, there's a lunch bunch meeting on Wednesday, September 28th at 11 a.m. or is it 1 a.m.? Oh, I got this from Susie. Okay, yeah, this doesn't make sense. Unless it's a hurricane party. Maybe that was the thought. Okay, well, this one has to be tabled because we don't even know if we're going to be alive. Okay, I'm sorry. So the next one is UUA is having a national webinar about climate justice and emergency response work on Tuesday, September 27th. There are 3 levels. First, the congregation immediate needs, and I think that's been taken care of here. Second level is mutual aid between clusters, repairs, housing, etc. And the third one is environmental. So don't forget the webinar on Tuesday, September 27th. So very good. And it's such a delight. We're having a special event today. Peg Stunkard is moving north to be with family, and we will have cake and refreshments after the service today. Yay! Okay. Peg is one of those people who have touched so many lives and enriched them and encouraged them. And it's such a joy to have your presence here. And I wish you the best. Oh, why are you leaving? You should stay with us. Right, Ted? Can I get an amen, Ted? No. Okay. Well, we will miss you, definitely. Okay. So, Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice is pleased to announce a timely event, Florida's new election laws, voter support or voter suppression. That's scheduled for 4 p.m. on Sunday, October 2nd, and it's going to be at their sanctuary. They're located at 1971 Pine Brook Road in Venice. Okay, there will be a celebration for the life of Miles Williams on Saturday, October 15th at 2 p.m., and it will be here. All are welcome to share the memories of Miles and with Miles' family and friends. 3 of his children and some of Mary Jane's family will be present. There'll be a reception immediately following the memorial service, and that will be hosted by the UUFCC Hospitality and Caring Committee. Okay, so this is regards Sunday hymnals. There is a sign-up sheet on the bulletin board in the social hall to volunteers to distribute the hymnals before the service. The greeters are otherwise occupied, and until we have someone permanent again, we will need volunteers. Okay, so here's a unique opportunity. You can adopt an area or spot in our beloved fellowship. The grounds team is offering you the opportunity to adopt a spot or area on our beautiful grounds to maintain on a routine basis. Perhaps you have a loved one commemorated in the Peace Garden, or you especially like the plants in another area. Please consider adopting it, and the fire ants there too. So, over the years, few years, we've lost a number of members from the ground team, and this is an opportunity to maintain a small section of the grounds without a weekly commitment. Please contact Dennis or the office. So the UUA the Vote campaign is ramping up for efforts for the coming election. For the last election, UUFCC had 2 coordinators who kept the fellowship informed of opportunities to participate. The secular community is having a meeting today at 3 p.m. at the Democratic Club. We have a speaker coming in who's a pro-choice and BLM activist, so should be available for presentation and for Q&A. So, and Corey has an announcement. Corey, you forgot your horse. You forgot your horse.
Howdy, everybody. Everybody knows me as the guy by the computer. So, I've been approached probably in the past couple months by a few of you asking for tech help. Well, today I'm officially announcing my services for hire. If anybody needs tutoring or fixing or anything that I can do within my power, I will allow myself for hire. I'm going to give Mary Jane and Sandy on Monday, starting Monday, a specific number for you to call and schedule appointments. Of course, scheduling will be another job. But I wanted to announce that front and center, so anybody who's interested, just give the office a call and they'll give you my number. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Corey. That's the end of announcements. We will now have a musical selection, number 318 in the gray hymnal, We Would Be One.
As we join to sing
Okay, thank you. Our closing words will be delivered by Reverend Ani.
If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If you have found comfort, go share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, help one another so that they may come true. If you have known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world. Go in peace to love the hell out of this world.
We'll extinguish this chalice, but not the light of hope, the fire of commitment, or the warmth of community. Thank you, Lori. As you leave, those who need a smooth surface to exit the building, please feel free to exit from the double doors in the back. Please enjoy the patio for a social time. Coffee will be available and cake. Now we will end with music from the Teal Hymnal, number 1057, Go Lift It Up. Thank you. Time to wake up your cell phones. You have a great day.